Good afternoon. I'm Michael Rattay here with Shaily. This is the Braincast. We're going to talk about the internet because we love the internet. So first and foremost, let's talk about LinkedIn.
Love it.
What did you, did you ever do a Facebook page for yourself?
I did.
Like business, or did you just have you?
I had one of just me because my little internet community all had this like moment where we're all like, let's make pages for ourselves. So I made it like over 10 years ago and I just let it sit there. And now that I'm at brand Shaily all the time, it's perfect.
So I was wondering if you made a jump from Facebook to LinkedIn, but you just added on LinkedIn to Facebook, right?
I had a LinkedIn. I think the good rule of thumb is that I get myself on every platform that I'm curious about, and then in the minute or in the years to come when I finally decide to care, that's when I put effort into it, right? Because all those like pages like Quora, for example, will say, oh, do you know your friend Shaily's on Quora? Add her. And if I'm the first person on Quora, every single one of the people that come after me is going to have to like me. Because like, oh, you're somebody that I know, which gets me a lot of friends on Quora. And now that I like Quora, it's awesome to have an extra couple hundred followers than I thought I would because I joined so long ago.
LinkedIn,
yes.
Have you noticed, because I recently went to LinkedIn from Facebook because I noticed that so many more people are paying attention to my LinkedIn, and I just get that, you know, it just works easier than Facebook. Have you noticed better response on LinkedIn versus Facebook, or what's?
LinkedIn is so fresh that like nobody's claimed the territory yet, so there's a lot of opportunity. Also, they haven't messed with their algorithms yet, so if you want to get seen on LinkedIn, you can. Somebody told me this at a workshop that like the average salary of someone on LinkedIn is 70 grand a year, and it's substantially higher than any other platform. And I'm like, well, do I want to work with those people? Sure, that sounds like a great idea. So more reach, more possibilities, more chances to get seen, because if I post something today, it might still show up on people's feeds for another week, which is what happened when I posted my video. People kept seeing it. I was like, yes.
Yes.
LinkedIn celebrity status, no. But you know, it's much more possible on LinkedIn than it is on Facebook if you started today.
It's true, and I think one of the thoughts are that people get, I think it's so business of a site that people are afraid to actually put content on it, so that people like us that are entrepreneurial and that's what we want to be seen, that's our extra in. Do you have any thought?
Yes, 100%. I think, and maybe this is my little secret sauce here, I've been on Periscope for a really long time. I did the first couple years I was making live videos all the time. Well, look who's coming up with live streaming. LinkedIn is. Who's going to have a huge advantage when LinkedIn comes out with live? Somebody that spent a good 2 years and probably dozens and dozens of hours on live stream already. That's going to be a huge advantage, and I'm going to be ready for it. And not to say that I'm going to be, if I ever do become a LinkedIn celebrity, I don't know, LinkedIn live stream queen, like that's probably wise, because I already had the muscle built on a platform that not everybody was utilizing, and I built a muscle. So it is fun, because business people sometimes get boring. If we're the cool people on there, we're going to stand out.
That's what I love with photos. Like you can post 2 photos and like everyone's posting interview tips or whatever, but if you post a beautiful piece of work, everyone's like, I feel like people see it and respond. So that's my thought.
Very fancy, very fancy.
Let's talk about live. So you started with Periscope. What do you think, either things that have helped make you successful with live, or that you see other people do that are like, okay, do it more than twice to like recognize what you're doing?
So like so first thing, whenever I do a live streaming video, I say thank you all the viewers and thank you all the reviewers, because the majority of the people that are going to watch it are people that are not going to watch it live. So I always give that extra shout out, and I learned that from the Editor TV, which was a community I was a part of live streamers, and we would share an account that has thousands and thousands of followers now. And it was lovely, and that's what a lot of people would do. And they would really engage people. And I think this is what I think none of the live streaming platforms have nailed as much as Periscope has, is that it starts a conversation. And the thing that I love to do is I love to engage with people, to ask questions. And if they have a comment for me, now I can respond to them and talk to them almost like a one-way Skype call. And that is amazing. And with Facebook Live, it doesn't have that same organic conversation vibe. So for me, like I see what's happening. In Asia, there's literally entire agencies of people managing live streamers. Like the live streaming game hasn't really been won here in the US. And this is coming from someone who actually was long before Periscope. There was a company called StickCam, and it was a very old, like 10 years ago, live streaming kind of platform. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm like, how do I get people to watch me? And that is long gone. But it's something that I realized I had a knack for, because editing is hard. This is your superpower. I'm sure you spent hundreds of hours on the stuff. If I'm talking and using my personality and using my engagement skills, it favors me. And the more I do it, the more I hosted my shows, the stronger I got. So It's about caring for the individuals, and with Periscope, it was really comfortable to do that.
Right. Is that real-time comments that you could respond to? Is that where you would, as you're getting information, you would kind of change your pitch and change what you're doing?
Yes. So for me, like I'll give you the example, right? My shows were all about debates. So one of the debates was who should pay at dinner on dates or something like that, right? And I would have a lot of thoughts already in my mind, like what are the pros and the cons? And then when people would jump in, it's usually one of those things, and I would just delve into it. Okay, so why do you think that? Let's keep going on that. And occasionally I get into tangents, which if I learned anything from live streaming, like stay on topic. And I'm like, oh, okay, fine, I'll stay on topic. But that, and I would just adjust the topic based on whatever their comments were, and it would always be related to the big theme. And that was something I kept in mind. Okay. So I kind of had that message in mind of what I was trying to frame during the talk.
How long did you find is a comfortable live stream for you?
Like a length?
Like 15 minutes?
Gosh, that's a hard one. I mean, so depending on the day, if there were people that were talking to me a lot, I'm like, I'll be there for like an hour, hour and a half. And I have friends who do like 2-hour live streams. And it's totally chill. And some people will rewatch them. It's a little weird to rewatch. It doesn't really live like a video.
Right.
But like if my friend Michael Barnum, he does guitar and he'll sing you love songs like personalized to you. It's unbelievable.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
so like I'll turn on his live stream replays and I'll just like have it listening in the background. I'm like, I'm listening to a live musician. Yes, it was recorded 2 days ago, but oh, is it so nice?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So that, hold on, you just said a good point, and I didn't want to
write them
lose
down.
it.
Do you want to get a jot?
I should.
Go get a piece of paper, jot them all down.
I'm going to.
Jot them down.
Although,
Hello.
point is trying to unpack social media and all the different like the different parts of it, and so I think you're like the perfect person to. We always kind of talk about this thing, so it's fun to like do it for real. We can have it as like.
It's only real if it's on camera.
Right. Otherwise, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist.
No one knows.
It's not on Instagram. It's not. It didn't happen.
That's where I could come in. Where if I believe people, if they do a live stream and they actually set up 2 cameras.
Oh, that would be fancy.
Then you have the potential.
Yes.
So I could see people if they set up cameras, recording their live, then being able to set it as like a separate piece of video. You know, like if you kind of have those recording, and doing the live thing.
Then you can use the footage later.
Right. So then just to treat that as an extra added piece of video. So you need an extra camera.
So this would be my live stream, and then let's say I'm done with this. I leave and say bye, and then at home I go home and I'm like, oh, this was good footage. Let me just slice it, dice. Like, here's my highlights of my live stream.
Well, the live, and you get one of those other cameras to kind of film you doing the live stream. So you have your main live camera, and then that one's recording, you know. So that's a way to like
reuse it?
Dissect it, is to a little better video instead of just the live
So when they rewatch it, but then you have to rewatch it.
Then you have to edit it. You have to still do the post work.
But post work, but then their live stream is already going to exist and it's going to stay that way in that format. And then you're saying post it as a new video. Like if you missed our live stream, here are the highlights. Yeah, because people ramble on there, and I've been there.
Because that's what I feel like is one of the detriments of live video, is that it's extremely hard to do it. Like there's very good, because there's like a really good energy, but then it could lose. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, so many thoughts. I mean, it's the same difference of like I used to work with a production company, and we would have talks filmed in front of audiences, and depending on how big or how small the audience is, the energy was different with how the person engaged with it, right? The other thing is we have a group called Shy Tribe, and we're doing really cool events for Jewish millennials. Awesome. And I told them if we do a live video, the reach on Facebook is going to be much bigger. Yeah. So it went from like, hey, let me do a fun Shaily style live stream to let's actually make it seem like an edited video, but we're going to record it live and it's going to live as a live footage. So we literally like rehearsed this thing and then we filmed it as a live stream and then we posted it out. So it was 2 minutes. And that actually was able to live on its own and people could rewatch and it was fun. So that was a way to do it, but we went in mind thinking that it was going to be a live, it was going to live like a video, even though we filmed it live.
Which is the right way to think of it, but it's different.
You can't
Not
do all
everyone
of them
can
that
do
way.
it, but
it shouldn't be everything because you want it to be a conversation. You want it to be like a hey, you can chime in. You can do it that's what you want it to be as a live stream. Like if it's gonna be like almost like a webinar-ish,
right? But
like cooler. But that's how you can make it live as a video. So depending on what kind of content you want to do, and if you can make it snappy,
produce a little more,
But like that's not. I wouldn't recommend that as like the way to do live.
Right.
It's something you could do with live.
Do you see? So what do you see live video as? Like after you do the piece, is it really more about that true interaction that you're having with the 30 to whatever people that are paying attention? Like is it really about having that immediate engagement, or do you see it as, I don't know.
You know, people do watch. I will say, when I do Periscopes, people do review it, and I can see who does, which is cool. Like so and so, and they're normal, hopefully normal people, ideally, and I can see who watches it. So there are people that review it, or they'll watch the first chunk, and it does live on Periscope. But I wish Periscope was like everything. I want it to be big. It's my like, somebody's got to make something.
Someone's got to buy it.
Well, Twitter bought it, and they bought it really early, which was probably the best time for them to buy it.
Best time financially to buy it, but not.
Best time for Periscope financially to buy it, but then it's dropping. The audience is dropping, which is heartbreaking, but the platform is great. I wish like they would just like get together with, I don't know, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Unless Facebook bought Twitter, then it could happen.
Which is possible. After the initial contact with person.
Audience.
Yeah, with audience, like how do you view it as its life? Like do you view it as a month or...
Oh,
I guess it really depends on the content, right?
Depends
I mean,
on
if
the
it's really
content.
good, it can
and who's
last.
stalking you online. I will say this is something that I like to do, and I think if my whole strategy was doing live streams, which right now I'm not excited about any platform to like really go hard on it and tell the world I've gone live. But if you did do a live stream and it is extensive, like again, my weird hobby, right? We go and we play like versions of Survivor in the woods. Totally weird, totally random.
That's awesome.
But we filmed the whole thing live, so it's very lengthy live streams. There's like 100 of these like hour-long videos live, and it's hard to tell when the fun moments are. And people want to watch. They kind of just want to watch for the person they know. Hence me.
Right.
So what I did is I watched the live stream video, and I knew when all the fun moments happened. I was like, okay, at 2 minutes in, this happens. At 4 minutes in, watch the most dramatic moment. 3 minutes in, watch me kick all these people's butts. And like I tell them exactly for the 40-minute video what moments are the ones that they probably want to watch the most, because nobody's going to sit there and watch the whole thing, and they don't know what's so juicy and valuable. And I don't see people doing that on their videos, and I think it would make a huge difference. Like my friend sells. He has a whole Facebook group of people who are sellers on eBay and Amazon and all these drop shippers. He posts these really long videos. I'm telling you, he's giving people the best information in the world, but they're 40 minutes long. I'm like, if you told people, hey, this answer to this question is there, go jump in, awesome. And I think Lord and Savior Gary Vaynerchuk does this on his videos. I don't know if people utilize it, but on his website, he's got all of his YouTube videos timestamped, right? So if you have a question, you look up the question, and you can find the exact video and exact moment where that question is answered. So there's a little bit of something there that people could do, and I think it would give it more life, but I don't think anyone's really nailed that as a strategy, but it would make it easier to consume the content after the fact.
That is probably the biggest point, because there is so much of the live excitement that it's hard to know really where the legit stuff is.
Right?
So it's like if someone says 3 minutes, but that's also where it could live as a piece that someone like me, where you kind of say, here's your timestamp, edit this. So there's definitely uses, basically. So there's really uses. It's just people that haven't. We kind of take it to the first step. We do the live thing and assume. Because I found, actually, before I talk, scoot out just because you're shaking that a little.
Oh,
so
am I
it doesn't
shaking
seem.
Shake, shake.
Because what I thought live is.
That's great. Can you do that again? Shake, 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 shake.
I thought the joy or whatever of live stream is like with Instagram and Facebook is that they gave preferential treatment to notifications. So that's at least why I first think it's very important. But then, yeah, I guess that's
I did
it.
that. So
You just have to be
Facebook,
using
the
it.
minute Facebook Live came out, the same thing I said about LinkedIn, I was already doing Periscope like crazy. So I made a, hey everybody, you probably just saw for the first time LinkedIn just came out. I did a 15-minute, very engaging, it was long, but it was a very engaging video where I was like, here's what you need to know. And it was the first thing that people had seen. So everybody's like, first off, oh, this is new. Oh, here's somebody that I know that's doing this video. And it did really nicely. And I think it was a nice foundation to be like the smart social media person that's introing this to people in my network. And that was kind of fun. But I haven't done too much with it. I'm very careful with my reach on Facebook.
Personal Facebook.
Yeah,
You're
because
saying,
it's
I know, there's
use
something
it wisely.
weird. It is a...
I don't post a lot because I don't want Facebook to think I post bad stuff. So everything I do post, I try to make it as much good quality as possible, and it shows by the results, because I post something that I know my audience isn't going to like, and I had 500 eyeballs on it. And even though 9 people liked it, I know people looked at it because Facebook trusts my content.
Right.
So that's why I'm very careful with it. And this is when I know too much about social media.
Well, that's the value of you in diving into all this stuff and knowing it. It's
Let
fun.
me help you with social media, but like here's when you get a little psycho about it.
Right.
But you know, there's something I want to say here. So when the minute I started working in social media was the minute I stopped wanting to post stuff all the time. Like it was like night and day. It was like, oh, I'm starting to do social media. I'm like, why don't I want to post anymore? Wow, I'm so much more careful. So something to keep in mind. It's weird.
Because you want it to be as good as possible.
Right? The same way your standards for video are probably through the roof. Like, right? Because you know what it takes. But like for somebody who doesn't know anything, like what you do, you're like a superhero, and you are a superhero, just generally.
Thanks.
But like, you have a whole knowledge set, so you can do it. You know what? You don't have that same. At least for me, I don't have that same like I know to what standards I would do for myself. But I know that somebody needs a certain amount, and I'm going to make sure they get what they need, and it's going to blow their minds, and that's going to be great. Maybe this is not something we put in the video, but I don't know.
Well, it could make sense. We'll see. All right. Well, then let's jump over to Quora, because I played around with that, but I never hear anyone talk about it. I think James Altucher is where I heard about it. Do you know him?
Should I?
He's in New York. He used to be an old finance guy, and then he went on the I don't know, writer, author journey. But you'd be interested in some of the stuff. But anyways, so what do you use Quora for? Like how, do you ask questions? Do you respond to like your 6 groups of suggestions sort of thing, or?
So Quora, that's a great question. So my friend is a professor, and we've got lots in common, and he went nuts on Quora, and he's like answering questions all day, and he's like, Shaily, get on Quora. So I was like, okay, and I realized I already had an account that already had a lot of followers, even though I hadn't done it much. And then I literally started answering questions about things I like to talk about.
Right.
So I am highly ranked in the reality competition show category. My weird hobby that I love. But like, you'll see my answers on like
awesome.
top Survivor winners, or like how does this happen, or whatever, because I love it. And it's a talk about like Jewish stuff or like icebreakers. Like, it's fun stuff that I enjoy. So when I was working with a client on Quora, she was like, oh, I heard Quora could be good for SEO purposes, and I could believe it. Like, if you search a question and you find an answer on there, you can definitely look like a thought leader through it. And then she started liking all these categories, and I was like, well, how cool if you just jumped in on them and people see you on there. It used to be, I think, a big tech platform.
Yeah.
A lot of techies were on there. So I don't know what's working or what's killing it now, but I will say that I did make a purchase based on a Quora interaction. I wanted to know more about matcha, and here there was somebody ranked top of the category for matcha green tea, and I was like, I want something I can afford. I don't need it to be super duper fancy, but I want to make my matcha lattes. My matcha lattes. So, and then she gave me like a full response, and I asked her another question. She gave me a full response, and I'm like, hey, $20 later, I got my matcha, and she got some business, and now that thread is going to live forever on Quora. So you never know who you're going to find down there, what kind of expertise. So I haven't really used it to be like, hey, this is me on social media, but I could see if somebody wanted that to be a strategy and they had fun answering questions like that, great. The other nugget, and this can go beyond Quora, that I think people don't realize is such an easy hack. I love Facebook groups, and I love, Quora and answering questions sometimes when it's fun.
Right.
I always tried my best to save all those well-written comments based on those great prompts, and I put them in a folder so that 2 years down the line, I'm like, what can I write about? I'm like, well, I've already written these great answers to these questions of things that I'm actually knowledgeable about. The best prompts in the world are questions people on Quora ask, or the questions that people on Facebook groups ask, or on LinkedIn, whatever it is, and I save them for later. So when I have a plan for them, they can find a nice home on the internet. So that's a fun way to use it too. It's a good prompt for content.
Well,
I love this.
So Quora too, and that's where I guess it was like 6 months ago I started. I haven't used it as much, but your second tip is what I would like. You need a blog post, you need anything, like even market research. I feel like for your thing, like whatever the top rated questions are, like in your field, like that's really what people care about. So like
that's a good
insight. You can make content based on that top question that a bajillion people like.
I'm sure an SEO person would say the same thing. Like if somebody's Googling that question, somebody's looking for an answer for that question. If your answer happens to be really juicy, ta-da! I want to hear like the full-length SEO answer from like the SEO person that's floating around on the internet right now, because I'm sure they could tell you why that's
well, it's keyword. I mean, it's like part keyword,
right?
But it's also you have the actual response from people like upvoted a gajillion times.
It's vetted. It's vetted. You get good vetted insight, and you have people that actually want to talk about their thing. They want to help you. Which finding answers to some of these questions is hard enough. And like here, hi, I'm an expert, and I want to tell you why I'm an expert. And a company I actually used to work for, their CEO, one of the strategies their marketing person has done is putting the CEO on Quora. So I've been liking his stuff all the time while I was with them, and that was kind of cool. Still no traction. I still have more followers than he does, I think.
That's awesome.
But I'm like, I'm going to support the company. So it's cool.
What is happening to them? You said you didn't know what's happening to them. Are they, because I haven't been using it lately.
Quora?
Degrading kind of?
Quora? I don't know. I don't feel like I've had so many opinions on it There's people that are on there, people that aren't on there. They like to notify people when people post on there. So I don't know. I don't have the pulse on it.
You're
of
not
like,
sure. Gotcha.
is it alive? But I know that like I still get, like I would say 10% of my views came from like the month before, and I hadn't actually posted in a long time. So there is an effect of being able to be seen on Quora, like after the fact. Like, so I don't have to post every month, but my posts from 2 months ago are still popping up for people, which is kind of nice. And then people request my answers for things, which is kind of cool now.
That's
spammy, but
is that to me it seems like kind of the LinkedIn thing where it's almost more a cerebral type social network. So it's like people aren't as invested into it like a Reddit where it's like a lot of images, where it's like similar, but it's, you know, images and Facebook and whatever. But do you see that? Like, is that possible because there's just not as many people being the leaders? And I don't know if that's too giant or broad of a question.
I don't know if I know. I don't know if I can answer that. I don't know if I know. I will say,
because it's all written, right? I mean, there's hardly any
I don't think there's any video. I don't think I've seen, I think you can tag images.
So I think it is all like, it's really like an intelligent spot. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of great Q&A.
Q&A, yeah. It is kind of nicely organized. Seems very appropriate.
Yeah.
Seems very like professional without it being LinkedIn.
Right.
It's hard to say.
I think it's almost a hive mind of
Yeah.
6 people that can answer a question, and then again you get upvoted for like whatever the most relevant answer is.
Sure.
So.
And Quora does rank you on the categories and how your level of expertise is and how many questions you ask. So it does give you a nice, if you're looking for an expert in a certain field, you have a few to choose from, and you can actually find connections that way. Now that I think about it, now that we're talking it out.
So Quora is this unknown tip that not a lot of small business people are using, but even if you're a small hair salon or something, like you could still do stuff on it. Like maybe not as much.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a possibility. Like if you need content ideas, how about this?
Content ideas.
That's what I mean. If you need content ideas
Yeah.
and you don't want someone to help you and give you 20 ideas.
Hello, internet. So I have a train of thought for you, right? So you're saying like, let's let the salon owner go on there. Let's get this person go on there. You can find information that there is probably some value there. Here's the fine line though with social media. This is where I'm so careful. This is why you don't see me like nailing a platform or being consistent. Because I always say be consistent on social media or put stuff out regularly, good quality, whatever, quality content, all that stuff. I haven't picked a platform where I'm like, I'm going to invest all my time and energy to nail this thing. Maybe it's going to be LinkedIn right now. Maybe I'll come up with another video. But when it comes to telling like a small business owner to get on Quora, I don't want to say get on Quora because to do social media well, I think you have to find some sort of enjoyment or pleasure in it. Or you have to hire someone else to do it. But I can't say just go on, do this. Like, to do social media well, especially if you're a small business owner or you're a solopreneur or whatever buzzword you want to throw out there, you want to be excited about it. Like, I like LinkedIn. I like the reach that I get. I like the reaction people have to my content. I want more of that. So I'm a little more invested in that. But if I really wanted to, I could probably do 10 different pages and do all that all the time, 24/7. But as a business owner, I have to prioritize. Where's my energy going to be worth it? Can I just say go to Quora? It's going to be nice. There's some value there. But if they're not excited about handwriting full-length questions, which I don't love writing a ton, like, sometimes it's fun. But it's that fine line.
That's like we all know that you could take a photo and post it on Instagram, but yeah, if you're not enjoying it for your business, it's impossible. Yeah.
So it has to be some platform that's fun. So it has to be a combination of what's fun for you. Are you going to enjoy it? And ideally, you're going to figure out eventually if your people that you're looking for are on there. LinkedIn seems to be great for my crew right now. So
right.
More LinkedIn love.
Which I'm gonna quadruple down on, which I've been meaning to. But
and you're excited about it?
Yes, I am, and I'm glad to see that it's working so well for you. So I know I need to dive in.
It's been fun. It's been opening some doors, and I could see the potential of if I keep doing this, what's possible. Did I do a mini audit for your LinkedIn page? Did you comment on that video asking for a mini audit?
Did I?
You should.
I don't think I did.
You should.
But I will.
No, but I did. I was like, I'll look at your page and I'll give you like 3 nuggets of ways to like share who you are as a person, right? It's the commonalities that like break the ice, that get us to the point where, I don't know, we've known each other for more than a year now, maybe 2. Year or 2?
No, a year.
Year? Right? There's like a personal stuff that breaks the ice, right? So that's what I like to use LinkedIn for, is how to break the ice a little bit, professionally and personally, so that you can get to the business.
Right. All right. Do we need to talk about Quora more?
I don't know. Quora's fun.
Quora's good. That's where I think it's a good market research. If you're not interested in answers, blah, 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 then don't, or writing,
Yeah,
honestly,
they'll
don't look.
try
But
it out.
it's a good...
Play with it.
it's where people are, like Twitter is too abstract for people to get
Twitter.
comfortable with.
I love Twitter.
I do too, but Quora is
for
an
the right
easy
place.
way for people to at least look up a topic and get an
Oh.
idea as to what, like if you have no idea what SEO is, that's probably the first place to start.
That's not a bad place.
And then you could, just search for your topic because they're really good about segmenting everything.
That
And
is
then
a good point.
top 3 questions, that's your content.
Have you posted a lot of stuff on Quora? Are you very active?
Not a
on there?
lot. I would like a couple months ago when I first
I gotta
realized
follow
it.
you.
Yeah,
A couple
now I
months
gotta
ago,
follow you.
what?
I just started it, but then I
Oh.
left. I did like a week of heavy
That's
posting and then I stopped.
exactly. That's what happens with me. I get excited. I'm like, and then I'm like, okay, bye. And then I look, I'm like, oh, 100 people viewed me this month, or 500 people viewed me. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is cool. Love.
Yeah, that was the other thing. I got a lot of nice views, and it was more respectable than Facebook
Right.
stuff, and so it's
You get
okay.
some attention. I will say, so my friend that's very big on Quora, he's got over 100,000 views on his answers. Crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's super special. He sends a holiday book every year where he writes stories of his life. It's like a 100-page booklet, and he mails it to his favorite
Wow.
people. And part of the book this year was all these questions. He literally he did what I said. He took the answers from Quora and he published them in the book. Really interesting questions, and he literally said, "Here's the question. Here's what I wrote on Quora," and he put it in the book, and that's like a good one chunk of the content. And I think that's awesome. So you can steal his idea. He sends literally a published book every year. He spends hours and hours putting this together, and I feel honored that I'm on his list.
Yeah. What does he do? What's his thing?
He's a professor, a data scientist
So it's
in
his-
Canada.
It's really his thing.
Oh, this is how much he has to write for his dissertation and his PhD and all
Right.
that stuff, and all the grading he has to do for his students. Oh my gosh, it's nuts. But he makes it. I don't know how he has enough hours in the day, but he makes it happen.
He loves it.
Yeah.
He clearly must just love doing
He
it. so
does.
it's- yeah.
He's a cool guy. I can tell you about engagement. So there's platform
Let's
stuff.
talk about engagement. Yeah.
That's, I think, the stupid easy thing that people don't do. Do you want me to just jump right in?
Yeah.
So engagement, right? They're like, what is this buzzword, engagement?
Yeah.
This is how I see it. It's how you make friends on the internet. I like to think I'm a great networker. Do you feel good about it being a good networker?
Yeah.
We would not have met if that was
Right.
not the case. Right? We're at the events where everyone who also likes to meet other people gets together. And I tell people it's the same thing. It's taking those skills and taking them on the internet. So people are like, Twitter,
Right.
what's Twitter good for? And I'm like, Working with a client the other day, there was an account. We have a restaurant. I'm managing a restaurant social media, and I look at this lady's page. I'm like, she has 10,000 followers on Twitter, and not a ton of people liking and commenting. But I'm like, she's interesting. She sounds like she has a big website. Who is she? I look into her on Instagram, and she has almost 100,000 people on her Instagram page, and I'm like, It's going to be a lot easier to get a hold of her on Twitter than it will be on Instagram. So
Right.
our restaurant was talking to her back and forth. Turns out she went twice instead of just once because we've had a conversation with her about it. And she asked for referrals. Somebody sent her to this restaurant, and now we can have a conversation with her. So I use this example all the time of you can get a hold of people on Twitter because usually a lot of these big names have a Twitter, but nobody's talking to them on there. And if I'm the nice, friendly person that sends you a lot of love on Twitter, the chances of us having a conversation go through the roof. Do you want stories?
Yes.
So here's a crazy story, right? So I also occasionally will support events, and I love going to conferences. I love working events. So much fun.
Yes.
And we had this guy come up to our desk and ask us questions. He's like, there's this mathematician entertainer, it's a real thing, coming to the conference, and my son is a big fan of his, and I want to get a book. And I'm like, how do we get him a book? And I'm like, who do I ask? The conference organizers are gone. It's not really my territory. And I was like, my colleague was about to send him away, and I'm like, have you tried tweeting him? He's like, what do you mean you've tried? I'm like, I don't use my Twitter. No.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't I just tweet him? So I looked at the guy's profile. He was on Twitter, he was active enough, but nobody was really talking to him on there. So I'm like, I have a chance.
Right.
I tweeted him and I was like, hey, do you have any booklets or something? Somebody wants to take something back for his son, blah, 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 blah. So I let that go. 2 hours later, the guy that asked me about this book comes up to me and he's like, hey, did you hear anything? And last I checked, I didn't get nothing. Within the last 10 minutes of that, I look and there's a message yeah, absolutely. I brought one with me from Europe. So he's like, okay, great. So I arranged a location where they were going to meet. I never talked to this performer guy, but they met and they got the one booklet from Europe, signed, sealed, delivered for this guy to take back to his kid. Did I make miracles
That's
that day?
amazing.
Yes, I did. Thank you, Twitter. I have 100 of these stories.
Well, that you summed it all up there. Everyone is following back to the restaurant lady.
Yeah.
If everyone's hitting you up on Instagram, but there's still another platform where you are, but it's not as active. That's the whole point of it.
Hello.
Right. And so that's also the thing where LinkedIn, which is why that's such a relevant thing now, because there's not as many people posting content, which is why it gets risen to the top sort of thing.
Yeah. If you're the one person making videos, that are nice enough that people are going to like him.
Do you know that Q guy, Quentin?
No, but I was just told to follow him, so I'm following him now.
Someone told me about him too.
Audrey?
No, Monica. Do you know Monica?
Should I know Monica? No. Networking.
Photographer? Okay.
Maybe.
Probably not.
No. Okay,
I
well,
don't
we
know
try.
if you would. I'm like,
you never know who I know.
that's the thing. I'm sure we know
We could.
everybody.
But that's so. The whole summary of this is that you can talk to people where they aren't. So if you're the one nice person on Twitter that's talking to the corporate brand that's failing miserably at engaging their potential hirees on Twitter, and you're the one hiree that's actually talking to them, probably going to be memorable. Probably going to make it easier. And this is what I tell people. Behind every account, there's a lonely social media manager that's waiting for you to say hi to us.
Right.
We're like, oh my gosh, somebody liked our stuff. Yay! Love them back. But like, we're there, and if we're the social media person, chances are we're probably much more social than anybody else at that company, and because we're social media, we know the infrastructure of the company, we could probably connect them much quicker than anybody else. So if you're that person and I'm that manager, I can probably connect you to like 1 million people at my company, and if you're nice to me, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
So that's part of the engagement thing, is getting people where they aren't. I also use it for... This is so weird. It's almost like a CRM. Like, I'll take a selfie with someone and be like, hey, I'm with so-and-so. And then 6 months later, I'm like, who was that? Oh, I tweeted them. And then I'll find the tweet. But the crazy one happened. I was at Uptake, which is this massively expanding company in Chicago. I still don't understand what they do, but they have a cool office. And I saw a really great General Assembly presentation there. And this lady spoke. And her background was also like me in education. And I was like, how cool is that? Her background's in education. And she's doing like corporate training for the new employees that are coming in. So like she basically trains every new batch of employees every like 2 weeks. And I was like, how cool of a job is that? So I put that in the tweet, and I put photos of the office, so it looked like great PR for them. I tagged all the relevant parties and put it into the internet, and I got retweeted or whatever. Like, it was cool. I got some traction. 6 months, 12 months later, I see her at an event, and I'm like, I always assume people don't remember me, so I'm always like, oh, I'm Shaily. We met at the da-da-da-da-da. I do them the favor. I tell them where they saw me. And she's like, oh my God, I don't remember your name. I'm like, the fact that you even thought you could remember my name is honoring. The fact that she remembered me so well because I had posted that tweet. She's like, Shaily, I met your... She didn't know my name, but she's like, I saw you from Twitter. And then things happen, right? I could go on all day, believe me. I have more of these stories and actual ROI too.
Right.
So even more.
Well, it hammers home on the basic point of it though. Like, all of them have a way for you to stand out and add that extra connection with people. The selfie or making some kind of comment about whatever they did.
Right? And what if it's your future lead? Like, chances are most people suck at social media. If you're the one person that's giving them attention and you're trying to help them with social media, that's a good karma thing, right? I will comment on the crap out of things of people that I want to work with.
Right.
But because I genuinely like them, but also it doesn't hurt.
Well, it's a way for them to notice you, get your personality. So you're starting to work together like in the comments, and then they just decide that they like you. And
eventually could lead to something. Even if it doesn't, you put more good vibes into the world, and eventually somebody is going to have traction. And that's what I hope for, right? And that's where I put my energy. The other thing that I think people don't know, it's a really simple social media thing, is that do you know who's following you? Do you know who likes your page? Do you know who liked your photos? Have you looked through those people? First off, there's people that are kind of spammy or weird, and you're like, I don't want to talk to them. But what if they look normal? What if they look like a professional? I'm like, well, who is that? I reach out and say, oh, hi, I noticed you like my thing, thank you. And first off, if they ever had a question for me, or if they ever wanted to tell me something, I've now opened the door for them to tell me. And also starts a conversation that could lead to something. So one time this happened, I have a workshop that I do. I don't advertise the Facebook page, but it's my secret little project that is just sitting there. And somebody liked it randomly, and I was like, nobody knows about this. Who liked this? I was like, hey, I noticed you liked the page. You look really cool. I noticed we have a mutual friend. She responded. And she's like, oh yeah, so-and-so told me about it. I was like, oh, how cool. I'm like, that's so lovely. 6 months later, we're at a barbecue, and I meet her in person, and it made the intro conversation so much more fun, because we had already met via Facebook, which could have been 0 chances. Now we've met. A year later, I hosted a birthday party, and she was one of the first few people to buy a ticket. And I was like, ta-da, these are the moments, and it's all worth it. So check to see who's following you, who's commenting. Are they normal? Do you know them? And did you say hi to them? If anything, they'll ask you a question. If not, you've now started the ball rolling. In the future, they'll have a context for who you are. It's also how I built up engagement on Facebook too, but that's a whole other conversation. But say hello. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Unpack.
What about, reaching out to random people?
Don't waste your time.
That's
Pick people that look normal, because you all know the weirdos that
what the
come
spammies
on.
Are,
the spammies, or like the weird people overseas that are trying to steal money from you. Like,
So
look for someone.
You DM, or you comment on like a post.
So if I see someone who like comments on something, I'll always try to respond. And then if
Just
anything,
on your page.
Yeah, on my page, and then if they look normal, and I'm like not Insta crazy, but like if I post, when I do post on Instagram and I see somebody liking it, I'll go on their page and I'll comment on a bunch of stuff. Because now they know, oh, she's nice. Oh, she commented on things.
So you do that.
I put good karma into their, I'll comment even twice on 2 of their things. Oh, I like your thing. And usually if they're interesting, I don't make any of this up. I'm genuine about it. But like, it can't hurt, right? And they might follow me, they might not. But I'm not this whole follow on follow BS. Like,
Right. F for F. Right, follow for follow.
Follow for follow. That sounds like a MySpace. Oh, God.
It probably was.
Oh, God. I
Or
can
an
MySpace
AIM or
whore
something.
trains. Do you remember the MySpace whore trains? Y'all, if you were on MySpace, the MySpace whore trains. There was like this, they would share like a bulletin on anyway, I loved MySpace. MySpace was how I got started in social media. There was a bulletin and then they'd put like pictures of people and they're like, follow us. And the people who were the biggest whores, like there were like 20,000 people and friends. I don't know. It was like, follow me. And then you just follow everybody as much as you can. So you get as many friends as you can. It was, oh, MySpace. I missed it. I would have been on MySpace, really, but MySpace was going down fast, and Facebook was just right there.
Right. Well, it makes sense. They sold it. Yeah. That's the perfect handling of like, I don't know if mismanagement is the right thing, but just handing over like a baby to somebody that has an idea.
Like, I think what Zucks has done is that he's understood where the needs are and he's solved for them, or like he solved for like things that like innovation that MySpace probably didn't have is what I think Facebook did have. And Facebook could have died, but I think they were like, what was the concept? Like, try to take yourself out of business. Like the whole idea, right? I think they were good at that. Like, let's be ahead. Let's have foresight for what people are going to want later. And I mean, they shouldn't have lasted this long. It should have been a trend, but it's still going. They figured something out. That
Instagram purchase is hands down like one of the smartest things they've done. And that show, like, just to know that right off the bat somehow, that was just truly a magical like purchase.
Yeah.
That became, because they would have lost Snapchat if they didn't have that, where they obviously took all of Snapchat's features.
You didn't innovate. Snapchat should have been sold. That was their mistake for saying no. I heard internally they're not in a place where they're ever going to figure it out again, from what I understand. It's from someone I heard inside information. Insider information.
Yeah, do we cut that so no one gets in trouble?
I don't know if anyone, shoot. Somebody who used to work there told me this, and I was like, and she said it in in a meeting, so I don't know. But I was like, yeah, do you know the team? Do you think it's possible for them to get out of the stink? And it sounded like she said, probably not. So, but apparently some kids are into it, so.
Lightning in a bottle stuff, I don't know. Did you ever do Snapchat much?
So here's my thing. So I actively was like, I'm just going to skip this trend. I literally told everybody I'm going to skip this trend. Like, I could have been on it, one of their like early 20-somethings that could have been on it. But I was like, nope, not going to do it. So eventually I was working at a school and they were having this trip and they're like, how do we reach the teens? I'm like, we'll make a Snapchat. So I was ready to go and I was like, fine, now I'll make one because I want to make this account for them. And I ended up doing that project and I had a proposal and everything, but didn't end up going through. And I was like, fine, I'm on Snapchat. So I cared for like a minute and I was like, I don't get this. The same way that like Instagram and I'm like, if I'm going to be addicted somewhere, like this week and last week, I've had some serious Facebook and LinkedIn addiction going on. Like I'm like weird. I'm like, all my friends apparently don't like Facebook. And I'm like, how many hours has it gone by? I'm like, I could just sit here for a whole day. Like when I have my like vacation break for a minute, I'm like, scroll. Like,
there really is a platform bias. You do get like one or two that at least for me, I notice I just can focus on one or two, and it's spreading yourself too thin. Even knowing all of it is tough.
But that's why I left my like link, my Instagram, like I made it, where my little cousin grabbed my phone. He's like, you're getting an Instagram today. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Right.
And then I had it, and then now all those people that were like, hey, do you know so-and-so's on Insta? They all followed me. That's why I have 500 followers on there. How many times have I posted? Probably like 12 times.
Right.
I'm like, that's a pretty good ratio right there. 12
that's a
posts.
great ratio.
I'm like, 70, 80 people like my things. I know what content works for me. I'm like, if I decide, I have a folder in my phone of like, this is the junk that people are going to like if I put it on Instagram. And they do like it, and it's fun. They're pretty.
Memes or just photos that
No,
you've taken?
if you look at almost all my photos, it's just...
Oh, just all your
And this is honestly, this is how I curate content sometimes too. It's like I put, oh, don't sneeze, Shaily, don't sneeze. I'm like, this is my Instagram shot right here. So I put there's quotes. Like I find quotes like written like on scenery, and I take selfies with them. So I have a folder of these things that I've taken over the years. Like the photo, the last like
That's
couple
awesome.
photos,
That's a good idea.
I took both of those photos like a year ago, and I posted them. So like, you want to know how my Instagram's going? It's all really old content that I like hold on to. But that's what I do. Like even just today we were talking, like all my Google Drive is so much content that when I decide to use it, I have it ready to go. Because for me to write a blog every week, I'm like, well, what creative idea did I have this week? I don't know, but I had a creative idea 2 years ago that seems perfect for this week, and I already flushed it out. Ta-da!
Audrey and I talked about this, but
the booklets?
notebook, like having a notebook or just having a stockpile, that's the thing about being a creative and doing all this stuff is you're not going to remember it then, but you'll remember
the middle
it
of the night,
in
you're
the
like,
shower, and then write that note down, and then
next to the shower,
you look
waterproof.
at it in 4 months, and then you have a new idea. So I think.
Ta-da! And I will say, well, yeah, go for it.
No, that's the cycle of.
It is a cycle.
Creativity.
So there's something like that, and I think a lot of this I've learned from a couple places. Like, so stand-up comics, like if you write like a joke every day or 10 jokes a day, if out of the 100 jokes you get one really good joke, it's worth it. But you have to keep going every day. So my friend Jonathan Pritchard, I'm just gonna plug all the genius people that I love in my life. So he tells me that every morning he has a routine. He does his kung fu, which kung fu is really cool. Side note. So he'll write every morning for I think it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes he'll have to write. And now he's not going to publish all that stuff, but I'm telling you, he has new emails coming out all the time. Like, how do you have time to write all this? And it's if he has excess of content, he can choose what he wants to publish.
Right.
And that's probably why he has a good flow going, and he likes writing. People like my writing. I'm just writing. But I have a flow for that too. So now I have all this written content from all the websites and again, the groups, and it's cool. It's very cool. So.
Because that's what it's about. I think so much of it seems like it can be ephemeral or just short term, but it really is about building a giant book of work.
And that's what I do with my clients too. It's if they're looking for certain funny content on a certain political topic, I'm not going to say which, but I'll collect them and I'll press them save, and I'll save them in my little Facebook folder, and eventually I'll go use them, right? And I did this for an account with about different kinds of disabilities. I saved a whole folder of really great videos, because videos like to populate nicely, and I share them from our account, and I get all the brownie points for curating that content. Right? So that's what I do for when I manage accounts too. It's just I hoard them, and eventually I need a post this week. Well, here I have a list already.
So you're saying generally hoarding. Now you're hoarding now for 3 clients from now that we don't even know who they are, kind of thing, right?
No.
That's kind of where you're prepping.
Well, no, for me, for my own stuff, that's how I think about it. But if I have a specific client that I know, the longer I'm working with a client, the more I know what works on social media.
Then you're just saving
so if I'm there for 8 months, I'll have a much better idea of what content works. And stupid hack, right? If Facebook notices that I like videos on disabilities, which it did, it gives me the content that I'm looking for, because it knows the algorithm's oh, she likes stuff with disabilities. I'm still getting content. This is years ago. I'm still getting content related to disabilities because how much I was looking for that content. Facebook was doing my work for me. So I'm well, if this is coming up on my feed, I'm sure my clients' clients are going to be happy. And it worked.
Yeah.
Curating content. You don't have to make anything.
I was going to
You use other people's stuff without plagiarizing, and everybody wins.
Images, words, videos, all of it, right? You're just talking about resharing someone's video that they did about some topic that you're interested in. You
look at a Facebook account that you really like, whatever and you share it from their page.
Right.
You share it and you schedule that, whatever, and it's going to look as you're sharing it from the original page that originated it, and then you post it on your client's page, and it's fantastic. Other stupid hacks. You ready for another stupid hack that is stupid easy? I writing is fine, but I'm not going to come up with some grandiose quote, but I can find some really pretty images. So we would find images on social media that were kind of pretty, that I was allowed to legally, of course, don't plagiarize, legally allowed to use, and I would Google search quotes about a certain topic. So quotes about coming home, quotes about saying goodbye, quotes about falafel, I don't know, something like that. And somebody else has written a genius quote, and I would take the image, and then in the quote section, I would literally quote something really clever, and then that would live as my text.
Right.
Stupid easy generator. If you post, let's say you have to post 2 or 3 things a week, one a week, you post one of those. Easy peasy. One a week, you curate content. One a week, you do something more personal.
Right.
And then that way you fill your content feed, and then eventually you see what works, and then you can move from there. And that's what I tell people to do.
Right.
It's an easy starting point.
Curation.
Curation is, I say content curation and engagement. Those are my 2 favorite things that I jump on.
I love the curation part. If I could share as much as possible. That's I guess what I like most about my Facebook page is that I can just, like you said, share directly from the page. I've noticed certain people that will, the page that you share it from, they'll actually reach out to me, like it or say thanks for sharing. So there's still that engagement.
Yes.
that's happening, and it's also the connection to that other page as far as your hack. I think we know this, but like in general for people, like sharing it from someone's page, you are essentially linking yourself with them, and that's also another spot if you're like a hack if you're trying to get noticed by that page. You just so happen to share something.
All the time.
They're not going to respond to comments, but if you share it onto your page, then
you got us viewers? A lot of viewers? Thank you. Oh, hey, why don't we talk? Like, hey, right, exactly, right? The good karma, right? The same way that like professionals, the same good karma you get when you refer people, if you're giving them social media street cred.
Right.
Ta-da!
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's giving someone else's business card out to people.
And it's all right there. You can click it. You can't still click my business card to get to you where I want to go. But you can click a page that shared you and see all their glory.
All right,
this
so
is
then
so fun.
Yes. We were just talking about curation.
Yes.
Did we even dive into that, or you just said we kind of dove into it?
It's easy, and you get better at it, right? And I guess this is also another element too. Like if the same person is managing your account for 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years, 4 years, every year that the same person is managing it, they're going to get so specific on whoever it is. But there's turnover, right? Like I'll look at an account, like the first social media strategist for this organization that I really love, she stayed there for like 4 years. By the time we got to their 4th year, I think it was like $30, $40, $50, $60,000 for this, dollars, probably dollars really, but followers for this organization. Right. And she knew what worked, and she knew how to engage the junk out of that audience. I think a lot of people are like, oh, do I want to start? Do I not want to start? 3 months is enough to kind of see a little bit of the traction, but it takes a real investment with the same person and the same kind of build up between a client and a social media person to really show the progress, to show what's possible. And I think that's the hard one, is that it's how do you start a business and say, hey, like I can't guarantee results for another 3, 6, 12 months, but that's the thing. It takes a long time to get there, and people need to be able to have that. That's something to keep in mind, and I think it's hard for people to understand that. But the more that the same person can really build that brand or that person up, I think of a page as like a person. It's like it's got its own personality, it's got its own rules, its own way of communicating. The more the same person can really figure out who that is on the the pages, and I feel like I'm like Mary Kondo, and I'm like, speak to the page or whatever.
Well, it's true though. It is a brand.
That's what it is.
It's like hands down, it is a brand. It's a direct communication with people, and so how they perceive that person.
It takes time, but the clearer you find out what it is, the more possibilities you have. And that's where I think I always advocate, like if you're a small business, like if you're doing it yourself, you love that business more than anybody else is. And it might take some time to build up, but there's a lot of possibilities there because nobody's going to care about it the same way that you do. I mean, you can pay them all the money in the world, but it's your baby. And
right.
You can at least breathe life into it, and you can figure out what your vibe is and then hand it off if you
want to. And then delegate.
But love.
So I see brands, I see pages and brands as multiple spheres of things. Like say you sell video, but there's also like other pockets of things. There's other pockets of things that you can curate, right? I mean, do you believe in the, oh, you're just a car parts store, only share car parts? Or like, do you believe in the deep personality?
No, you should know the deep personality, right? Because yes, somebody can be super qualified, but just being qualified is one thing. But like trusting someone or knowing who they are, I think that is, at least for me and the people that I see in my sphere, paint that, right? The bigger, so I'll tell you, this is my story. This is my personal, as a kid, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was bullied, I was teased. I didn't have a lot of stuff going for me, and it was really hard to make friends.
Right.
And I spent years trying to study how to make relationships with people, to the point where I realized that it's making connections that really helps. So I've gone all in on making connections with people, but if I don't know what we share or what's cool about you or that we both like the same thing, how am I going to be able to ask you about it? How are we going to be able to have that like non-business conversation where I feel like, oh, you get it, right? It's that shared experience that like if somebody has the same background as me, like I'm automatically like, you get it. Like we both had tea after dinner growing up as a child and as an adult. Like it's a thing. Like it's like there's that weird cultural stuff.
Right.
Like it's those things that help kind of make the connections happen. So I'm always like, put personal stuff online, put personal stuff in the video, get a chance to see what we look like every day, or like tell me what your weird hobby is, like my weird, fun, awesome Survivor thing. share that, because then I can end up having such a different conversation with you there, and it makes things easier, right? I love that. And let's see, did I go on a tangent on this? Let's see.
No, I think
there's a lot of thoughts. Like this morning, right? Like somebody looked at my website and they said, oh, here's all these things we have in common. I'm like, I didn't have to figure that out. They did it. My website did it for me. It gave us a really great starting point of like, oh, we both have this in common. And we actually had the conversation about the thing that we had in common and how that makes it easier to work together. So fun common traits, but like it opened the door.
Right.
Right?
Well, hearing...
Yeah.
Am I going to
No,
cut
jump
you
in,
off?
jump in.
Because hearing you say it's funny because like all these thoughts are, you're basically saying everything. I could say all these things, but there's something like hearing you say it, you're saying it so much better. And there's like,
thank you.
And also hearing you say it too, it's like, it is the other perspective of how I view it, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but just
let's unpack this.
Viewing it as the whole personality is like that's the whole point. Like, because then, just because you're gonna go on a weird negative tirade, and that's your brand. Like if you're going live and you're gonna like rip on people,
okay.
You're just a hater.
I'm following. Where are we going with
like
this?
There's certain, I guess you should shut up at certain spots and like you could set a personality for like, you like Survivor, you like reality shows.
Reality competition shows.
Like that's a good thing.
Emphasis on the competition. Anyway, yes.
But you don't have, like a lot of people view it as a platform where they can talk about everything, and that's what I mean, like the negative, nasty hate speech tirades. That's part of somebody's brand. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know where are you going
maybe
with this.
this is a bad
It's okay. I'm
example.
curious what you're going with this, because
I guess the nuances in the personality is what what I just wanted to say. Like, if there's a way you can convey your reality show love and people can connect with that, or connect with those fun things that make small business, I guess. Does that?
So I feel you.
That's not a fully formed.
But I think I see where you're going with it, right? Is that to paint a picture of what that person is like, that's helpful, whether it be through video or through a post, or like, hey, like I'm actually like one person that I was working with the other day, a real estate agent. She's telling me, oh yeah, I sent emails out telling people where the local farmers market is. Like, how nice is that? Hey, I live in your community, and hey, if you didn't know about this already, let me be the person to tell you this fun tip. And it paints a picture about her. Like, what is she interested in? She likes, I guess, fresh foods or whatever. Right? Like, it's fun like that. I think that's the magic of like, paint a picture of who you are. Your content should be partially a little bit of that, so that I know who you're like. And this is really my thoughts on LinkedIn, is that people don't really put any sort of personal stuff on there. Like, I get generic trait. I know this software, that software. I know management. I know this specific skill. Like, great. I can't imagine what you're like besides your face. Like, who are you really? Like, do you have a family? Are you an immigrant? Are you, and I say this because my parents are immigrants, so there's a little bit of story there. Like, there's things I'm curious about. Like, were you an athlete? I saw somebody post they were a gymnast, and I'm like, well, how does that play into your brand? And I'm like, well, that's interesting, right? Because what if I did sports? Or like, there was another guy recently I talked to who also did sports. I'm sure for someone who's in sports, like, they could talk about it for hours. And I think that animals, right? Like, animals is a thing. I had a client, and I didn't know she studied zoology in college. Wow. I'm like, how cool are you? And I'm like, she loves her dogs and all that stuff. And I'm like, put that on your thing, because that's a fun, I want to talk to you about that. The other client said she used to work with the bulls. And I'm like, I want to ask you about the bulls. You just got even cooler. Like, how, I wouldn't have known that if you were a generic real estate agent, but like, you are super cool. Tell me why you're super cool, because I want to talk to you about why you're super cool. And then let's get on to business, right? I love that stuff. That makes the conversation much more fun and exciting.
I agree. And that, and when I see the ideas, I guess I'll jump on them. But I think that's the point where I believe in like stuff like this, and then I also believe that you can get away with a lot of cell phone stuff as your content as well. Like, it's the mix of all these things, right? I mean, that's, if your entire strategy is like phone, or just you don't know how to take a picture, like, that's not a good strategy. But like, if you can combine well-polished stuff with the spontaneity, I think that's the fun of it, right? Like, at least that's the way I view it, is that you can get away with both, because then
you have the eye for this. This is your thing, right? You have the eye for this. You gave me permission almost to be okay with just using an iPhone, right? Because I don't know if I would have done it. I mean, hopefully I did it right enough.
You did.
I got 7,500 hits. I'm like, yes.
So you just
Had a
got
microphone, which was fun.
with what you have. There's still
I'm
tips
MacGyver.
to use the lights and use
I
these
don't even
things.
know how to use lights yet, but I'm figuring it
But
out
you did,
little by
and
little.
it was great. You didn't
Y'all,
stand in
there's a
front
light
of a window.
set up here. I just want you to know there's like one of those umbrella bits. I don't even know what this is. He's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, no, this is super legit. I'm like, I don't have one of these. Like, this is cool. This is the glow. Anyway,
That's
yes.
why we look nice.
That's why we look nice. Look at this.
Um,
I'm gonna hire a lighting.
Yeah.
Friend. Lighting guy's gonna follow me everywhere I go. I'm gonna be like a Kardashian.
You can get like a reflector thing.
Oh, I've done that. I did that as I helped with some video
Mm-hmm.
production. I was the reflector person. It was weird and fun and awesome.
That's what you have. Just have
That's a
someone follow
great-
you around and do that.
Yes, that was a video producer overseas that I worked with on a thing. That was really fun. I made a video for a matchmaker, and it was a very
Nice.
nicely produced video.
I was gonna say not a couple, like a company matchmaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was very fun. So I was the lights.
Cool.
It was cool. Yes. Oh, you had some thoughts. Jump in.
No, we did. We talked it. 'Cause that's where I was saying you can use phone content with decent content
Oh my gosh.
if you do them right.
Yeah.
If you do them all right, that's all that matters.
Well, if you do it right, and I think when you say right, look, this is how I vet stuff. If I'm posting something on Facebook or anywhere, I am super thinking through. Like, I think of even the people. Like, who's gonna see this? Are they gonna like it? And maybe I'm probably more judgmental than I need to be.
Yeah.
But I want to post as best as I can. I want to feel so good about it that even if it gets 0 likes, I know that I've put it through the ringer of what's quality in
You
my
believe
eyes.
in it.
Yeah, like I want to believe in it before I post it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was much more critical. And then when you were like, Shaily, it's okay, like you're gonna figure it out. And I really rewatched a take that I actually hated originally, and I was like, well, this is actually simple and it's to the point. I'm like, this is the one I never thought I would pick, but I think this is the one I want. And that was great. I think sometimes you just need to do it because of analysis paralysis, right?
Yes.
So it's a fine line there, but I definitely tried my best to make sure it's worth it. Like, is this valuable? Is this useful? Like, is this spammy? Is this like? It has to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have to visualize people liking it and getting
Right.
excited about it.
Good. You know what you're doing. It was concise. It was that. That's almost one of the problems with people with a lot of live stuff and just other phone recordings that they're just. It can be very loose, and so I'm guilty of that. That's why I'm going to have to edit all this. Thank you for watching the Braincast with Shaily. I hope you got a bunch of knowledge as far as what to do with your social media, where to get some content ideas, and how to actually curate content to help your brand.
Absolutely. Michael, I want to thank you. This has been such a fun adventure. People can find me on shai.ly. It is my name. Spelled really funny, but it's Shaily, shai.ly. I'm happy to do a mini LinkedIn audit on your page. Thank you for having me. This has been absolutely a joy.
I'm glad this finally worked out. This has been months in the making.
Miracles!
But I know this is not going to be the last time.
We need to keep doing this. This is so much fun.
It'll work.
It'll work. So it has to.
Thank you for watching us. Find us on the internet if we're doing it right.
That's good. That was good.